So it would just be my opinion um, that goats really aren't an ideal candidate for especially the short grass or even just the grass system. I mean, you really start running into health issues, whether it be worms or other things. When you start grazing real low is when you're going to start having problems. So I would prefer to have goats on a native pasture like this where they do have access to, if they need it, grass, but really the browse and the forbs. If I just have a pasture that's just like a tame grass or even a native grass, but it's just really a clean grass pasture, I would be considering more of like a hair sheep or even go to cattle. Because the goats really need to be, and sheep to a certain extent, really need to be grazing up higher to stay healthy. There have been a lot of work done on getting worm resistant animals, but really a lot of your worm resistance just comes from good management, and good management comes in understanding that goats and certain breeds of sheep were made to graze up higher. And so when they start grazing low where that worm population is going to be, you're going to start having issues. So I would suggest that if it's just a really clean grass pasture, it's probably not the ideal place for goats. I, on the other hand, I do see a lot of people, typically more boars, that are doing it more as a hobby and raising 25 to 50 on some grass paddocks, and they do some rotation and that kind of stuff, and they seem to get along just fine. So it really kind of depends on your goals and just your knowledge of, you have to be really aware of how their systems work, and especially the worms. The goats typically, I would say, eat about 85 to 90% browse, especially in the growing season and in the summer. They're pretty much browsers. They will eat some forbs. They eat very little grass, even when their heads are way down in the grass. A lot of times it's picking forbs or some real low browse. They will go to eating some grass in the winter because most of the browse isn't around. Now, goats do eat a lot of the woody stems that was left from browse during the winter. They get a lot of starches and sugar from that, so you will see them doing that. But for the most part, especially if the availability is there, goats really tend to shy away from the grasses. Most of the time, they'll group up of an evening or get close, but during the grazing day, you'll find them scattered out. I mean, they may be together to start the morning, and then they'll kind of spread out, and then they'll kind of start grouping up in the evening and kind of try to get all back together. Sometimes they do get back together. Sometimes there's a group that doesn't. Normally within a day or so, they all find each other again. When they're comfortable with their surroundings, they're grazing in circles, and so they almost always find each other within a day or two. So moms get back with babies and that kind of stuff.